Hello everybody out there in TV land and our friends here at the Seaside building. We're here on this third day of Hanukkah, on this celebration of rededication, to rehang the mezuzah on the door of the synagogue after we've now completed or almost completed the renovation. We're not rededicating the building, but we are rededicating our holy space. And that's what we do with the mezuzah. So why do we use a mezuzah? Because the Bible tells us so. Bible writes twice in the book of Deuteronomy, write it on the doorposts of your house. And actually I want us to read in English, the pieces from Torah that talk to us about putting the mezuzah on our house. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And at the V'ahavta, we're going to do in English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. So we have the Shema, the first paragraph after the Shema, and the second paragraph after the Shema. Now, if you will listen diligently to the mitzvot that I command you this day, to love and to serve Adonai your God with all your heart and with all your soul, then I will bring rain to the land in its season, the early rain and the latter rain, that you may gather a harvest rich in grain and wine and oil. And there will be grass in the fields for your cattle and abundant food for you. Take heed lest your heart be tempted and you turn away to other gods and worship them. For then my anger will be kindled against you, and I will close the heavens and hold back the rain. The earth will bear no fruit, and you will soon perish from the good land I have given you. Therefore, impress my words upon your heart and upon your soul. Bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes. Teach your children to speak of them when you sit in your house, when you lie down, and when you rise up. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Then will you and your generations remain on the land which I promised to your ancestors for as long as the heavens remain over the earth. So the Bible tells us to put them on these words on the doorposts of our house so that we are reminded of all of the things that we're supposed to do to walk in God's ways. However, in all of that telling us to put them on the doorposts of their house, it doesn't say anything about how to do that and what's the angle that we're supposed to put it at. And everybody always asks, what's the angle and why am I supposed to put it at an angle? Well, the angle has its own history. So the Bible was written probably in the 7th century. The book of Deuteronomy was probably written in the 7th century BCE, during the time of King Josiah. And no idea how these words were placed on the doorposts between Deuteronomy and the first time we hear about it in the year 225 CE in the Talmud, when one of the rabbis said, if it is hung like a bolt, it is invalid. Well, what does that mean? The next time we hear about the question of how it is to be hung was in the year 1040 CE by the famous Sephardic Torah commentator Rashi, who said, a bolt is horizontal. Assumes don't hang it horizontally. And then in the 12th century, another commentator, Ashkenazi commentator, Rabbeinu Tam, said a bolt is vertical. I guess that assumes don't hang it vertically. And then in the 16th century, Rabbi Joseph Caro, a formal authority for Jewish law in the Sephardic communities, who wrote the Shulchan Aruch, said a mezuzah must be vertical. Also in the 16th century, Rabbi Moses Isserlis, an Ashkenazi Polish scholar and Torah commentator, who reviewed all the codes about the angle at which the mezuzah is to be hung, said the Sephardic opinion of hanging it vertically was very different to the norms in his region. So let's fulfill both views and put it on a slant with the Shema angled inside. That opinion is the one that is still practiced today. Turn it over to Stanley and Cindy, who I think will say a few words before they actually hang the mezuzah.
Stanley and I have been vacationing down here for 18 years and never knew that there was a Jewish population. And we were in Baltimore and we saw an ad in our Jewish Times talking about this congregation and that they were having a barbecue. So 22 years ago, we went to that barbecue not knowing anyone and was so enthralled with what we saw that we joined that day. We didn't even own a home here, but we wanted to help Seaside grow. So the next thing we knew, we had the people, the people who were running Seaside over, and we decided to form a campaign to get membership. So we started calling old members and people who had donated. Then 2 years later, we bought our first home here. And we saw that Seaside needed hagudahs. So we got them hagudahs. We saw that they didn't have Seder plates. So we got them Seder plates. Anytime we saw that Seaside had a need, we tried to fill it. And we've been doing that for the last 22 years. And God willing, we will continue to do that long into the future.
Got the mezuzah. We hung actually 4 mezuzahs here in the building. One of them still hangs in the back. And we're going to put it back up today to rededicate the building, or rededicate the new expanded building that I think we always had a vision this would happen someday, and it's finally happened.
Man, come in for Stanley.
So it's angled appropriately, with the top part angled in towards the building. So we make a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu likboa mezuzah. We offer our blessings to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, for having guided us to understand the importance of making this space a holy and sacred space by inscribing words of Torah on the doorposts of our house. And normally we also say the Shehechianu. However, we're going to leave the Shehechianu for the first time when we get to actually enter the building, and that will be the occasion on which we are saying we are so blessed to be able to reach this occasion. So I think that we have past, we have present, we have future. So our past was the Silverblats who have donated and rehung the mezuzah. Our present is our current, almost outgoing president, Marcia Davis, who will be followed with remarks from our incoming president, the future, Joel Simon.
I'm so honored to be here today as the incoming president of Seaside Jewish Community to welcome all of you to, I can't say our new home, but our newly designed home. And looking forward to those times that we can share here together and continue to watch our congregation grow. We've been very fortunate to have so much growth over the past 25 to 30 years of Seaside Jewish Community expanding and growing and becoming a much larger and bigger presence here in Sussex County, Delaware, and look forward to all those memories going forward. You heard some remarks from Marcia thanking many of our folks that had a very active involvement here in the construction, but I also want to comment a little bit about people of the past and thank our leadership of the many years that have gotten us from the previous point to the point we are now, and the future leadership that we have coming in that's going to take us to many more memories going forward.
This building is a result of something that makes Seaside very unique, and that is that we are volunteer driven. And we wouldn't be here today if it weren't for some really wonderful volunteers who I'd like to mention. First of all, I'd like to mention Matt Ash, Stanley Silverblatt, who dedicated their days and their weekends, except for Shabbos, to come here and oversee and make sure we had a beautiful home. The people who contributed money into the campaign to make this addition most beautiful for us to worship in. And everyone who is a member who has stepped up and done something to help Seaside grow. Thank you to all of you, and we look forward to a celebration next year when we will all be able to be physically present. Thank you.
One last thing for us to do here today is to acknowledge that it is Hanukkah, the celebration of rededication, as we do our own rededication. Tonight will be the night that we light for the fourth candle. We're right in the middle. So we've got a couple of Hanukkiyot with candles, and we will ask the people who are the owners of these Hanukkiyot to come up and to light them, and then we will do the blessings together. Blessings for being able to kindle these lights and for remembering the miracles in times long ago. And I wanted to sing at least one Hanukkah song, so I can think of one that we probably all know. I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel I shall play. Oh dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel I shall play. It has a lovely body, with legs so short and thin, and when I play with dreidels, it drops and then I win. Oh dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. Oh dreidel, 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 oh dreidel I shall play.